Hello, welcome back to All for Women's Football. We said when we started this channel that we wanted to tell the stories across women's football, not just the top tiers and all things in between. And if you've been anywhere near women's football in the last kind of 48 hours, 2 days or so, you will have heard of Thornaby FC for maybe not the reasons you would have thought. As you can see, we've got Abbey and Grace who have kindly given up their afternoon to chat all things with us on this one. So firstly, thank you both for coming on, because as we said backstage before we started recording, we can imagine this has been quite a hectic kind of couple of days for you both.
Yes.
So I guess first question for people who maybe, haven't heard of the club before or anything like that, I've just seen maybe the headlines that we've seen in the last couple of days. Grace, I'll start with yourself and then Abby following on this one. In terms of, if you just give us a brief overview of the club and your involvement in it, how you got into it and things like that.
Well, I've only been at Thornaby a year, so it's a relatively new club. It was only found, the women's section was only started 3 years ago within the ladies. So I came in the last season with Abbey actually at the same time, and Claire and everything else. So I've been there a year. It's been a class season. Like, we've absolutely loved it. We finished third. We got to a cup final at the Riverside, which was a dream come true. Like, I'm a Borough fan. I know what Abbey is. We go to all the games. There's a lot of our girls that have season tickets. So, like, that was just an absolute dream come true. And it's absolutely amazing. So we finished the season on a real high, really. Absolutely buzzing. All smiles round, really.
Yeah. And Abbey, is it a similar story for you, I guess?
Yeah, Grace it's actually made us emotional listening to Grace say that, if I'm honest with you. Yeah, Grace is right. We are Borough fans, so that was, lovely to cap the season off. But we've had a really good season. We've had a successful season. So when myself and the other manager came in, Claire, we came in on the basis that we wanted to grow grassroots football. We wanted to grow a pathway, because it's all well and good having a women's team, but actually you need something up and coming. You need a pathway, and that was something we vowed we would do. And it's been a really successful season on the pitch in regards to finishing third, getting to a cup final, but off the pitch, creating new teams and creating little girls' dreams. So when Grace said there we played at the Riverside, them little girls came and watched us play at the Riverside. They wanted Grace's signature, and they wanted all the players' signature. And for me, that is success. And they don't want to be, although they do want to be Beth Mead, they do want to be Jill Scott, then people see on the telly, they want to be Grace Nevitt, they want to be Harriet Dryden. They're the people in their community who they see playing every week. So for myself and the other manager and the girls we got on board, is we vowed that that's what we would do. We would grow this community and get loads of little girls and help them fulfill their dreams. And we've certainly done that this season.
Yeah, no, that's amazing to hear. And I guess you come off all that success then, and then we've obviously had the news that's kind of breaking this week. How did, again, whoever wants to go first on this one, but how did you guys as a team or as individuals find out about the decision, that the Thornaby committee had voted to remove the female section?
Do you want to go first, Grace, and then I'll follow you?
Well, we found out, was it a day or two before the actual post went out? And it was just a shock. The whole team was just speechless. Like, it came out of nowhere. We were thinking about next season. We're really excited. Obviously, we've come off the back of a successful season, so we're ready to going for promotion. And then suddenly it was just, no, you're not having a team anymore. And I think it was just a bit of a shock, really. Like, everyone, I think the comments in the group chat were just like, are you joking? Like, is that actually serious? It was just a bit of just wow. Like, we didn't know where it came from. Like, we'd had no inkling at all, and it was just a massive shock, really.
Yeah, I'll follow on with that with Grace. She's hit the nail on the head. I think for myself and Claire, it's a totally different feeling to the likes of Grace. We had to think, when we found out, we had to think of how we would tell the girls. We haven't just got the women to think about. We've got under 18s, under 15s, 10s, 12s, 7s. So delivering that message has been different for every age group, and it's been a tough one, because the kids, they've not come from a generation where football's frowned upon for girls. So they don't quite understand. Whereas, my older girls, they've come through that. They've come through the girls are not welcome in football. So, you know, we've had a mixed emotion where we've had a bit of a setback, and then the other younger generation don't quite know what's going on. It's a bit of a shock. So, yeah, it's been a funny 48 hours. But like Grace said, I'm the manager there now. I had no inkling, and it was only an emergency meeting on Saturday that this happened. So it's been short, sharp, and very emotional. It's been one hell of a roller coaster, and yeah, hopefully, we'll take positives away from it now.
No, for sure. I definitely want to come back to that in terms of steps moving forward and what next and things like that. On the decision itself, were you provided with any kind of explanation as to why this was? Obviously, there's rumours, I guess, floating around, as there always is when stories like this pick up. But was there any explanation to yourselves as to why this was the decision?
And I think that's what's been hardest to break it to the girls. Like, how can I tell Grace that we no longer have a team, because I can't actually tell her why. So there's no substance behind it. And that's what's been really frustrating, because, these girls there's no why, they don't get why. And ultimately I can't answer that for them. And if I go to the committee and say why, they've got no reason. And you've probably seen the statement they released. It probably didn't help them in any way, shape or form, if I'm honest with you, because again, there was no substance to it. It was just, we've had a tough 12 months and we've got staffing issues, but that's not related to the women's section. So yeah, it's not money driven, because if it was money driven, you wouldn't get rid of the children, because they sustain themselves, they pay subs. And it's not money driven for the women, because we get our own sponsors in, so we take nothing off the men's side. So that's been frustrating, because how do I tell Grace, who's had a really successful season, played amazing, played at the Riverside, we've finished third, the highest the club's ever finished since we started, but actually I can't tell you why. We just can't. And that's been the hardest part.
Yeah, sure. I think we've kind of covered it a little bit, but just, can you describe to me, like, I guess, Grace and then Abbey, what the, I guess, emotions have been like around the past few days, from finding out to, I guess, even now? How has that felt to kind of be let down in such a way?
I think your heart just sank a bit when I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a joke, to be honest. And then your heart just sinks. Like, we come off the back of a really good season. That's our first season all together as a team. We all got along really well. I think it's actually the best team I've been in terms of, there's no really cliques or anything. Everyone gets along with everyone. But you've been in a few teams where there's a bit of upset or whatever. But then it just turns to anger, because there is no why. If there is why, then it's not money, because they self-fund themselves. And it's especially gut-wrenching for like the under-15s. I know we've got a really talented under-15s and under-18s who've gone unbeaten this season. The 15s are in 3 cup finals, have won the other 2. And it's just like, you don't have a reason why, and you can't say it's because of money. And it's just purely the fact of you haven't given them the chance. You've just haven't spoke to us about it. You've just sat in a room with 6 men and gone, we don't want them anymore. And you've not asked us what we could do, if it was up to us, what we could do to help. But no, it's just really confusing and angry, but absolutely amazing to see the response to it. Our group chat we just couldn't believe our eyes. We knew we wanted it to go far, but oh my God, did it go far? It's just lovely to see how much we meant to the community and the girls' football. There's just people everywhere commenting on it. I know there's like politicians and stuff commenting on it. You just don't think it'll get that far, and it was absolutely lovely to see. And that even if you're not high level, just grassroots, that people want you there and you are wanted. And the girls, I think, even at the younger sections, I felt amazing to see that many people want girls actually in football, and that hasn't always been the case. I know since I've been playing, there was no girls teams. I didn't have a girls team. At school, I'm only 18, and I left school 2 years ago, and there wasn't a girls team then. So it's just amazing, really, to see how times have changed. Like, we're pushing girls into football, not pushing them out. It's just really lovely.
Yeah, I echo what Grace said. She summed it up brilliantly there. I think my initial on Saturday when I first found out, I was just like, I'm like sad, but I was almost like I had this fire in my belly, and it's really, I've not stopped smiling. And although this is a really, really poor time, and it's a horrible situation, I've not stopped smiling because the response we've had, is just been heartwarming. It's amazing, and like, for me, this isn't about anything other of, we need to raise awareness that this is not the only club this will be happening to. And that might not be football, it might be a different sport, it might be cricket or basketball, but we need to make a stand now. And as a community and as women, we need to stand up. And like, the men of our club have been fantastic. Like, the men's team have turned around and said, my daughters play for the little girls team, I'm not playing for this club anymore. The managers turned around and supported us and said, I won't be managing the men's team, so unless this gets sorted, you're not gonna have a men's team either. And it's like I say, it's been amazing, the response we've had, and I can't thank every single person that's reached out. We appreciate, and we will get back to them. But the emotion for me now is just happiness, because the way we've spread this word, if we can change one mindset this week, amazing, we've done a good job. And like Grace said, we said we are going to stand together as a club and we will make it happen. But the response we've had, we never expected. But it just shows what can happen when people stand together and come together. We can do things, we can make change. So the more people that get involved, we need.
You've kind of just touched on it there in terms of you didn't expect this. So I will ask you actually in terms of what you maybe expected when you put the post out. Because I remember, I think I quote tweeted it at the time, and it had about 3,000 views, I think, on the Thornaby post. I've just checked now; it's on 1.3 million at the time we're recording this.
Yeah.
on the and that's a wrap post. What did you expect when that post went out? Obviously, you said that you didn't expect it to get the reach, but did you expect it to get some kind of traction, or did you kind of put it out there in the hope that maybe it would get that?
For me, when we briefed the girls, we'd said that this isn't okay, and I really want you to, and we expected the Northeast. We know how passionate the Northeast is about football. I've been in football a long time. We all got friends in football, and I just wanted people to know that Thornaby couldn't get away with this. Like, this is not okay to treat people like this as humans, and yeah, I think we never expected it. And for us, it wasn't a witch hunt. It wasn't, we want these committee members to resign, we want you to, give these committee members abuse. Like, that's not what we're about. For me, I'd be more happy knowing that we changed one of them committee members' mindset, and actually they would think, you know what, we've made a mistake, and women's football does deserve a place in this club. And that's what I wanted to get out of it. It was to, change a mindset, because unfortunately they'll go the rest of their lives thinking exactly the same if we don't change their mindset. And whether or not they're involved in a club or not, if women's football's on TV, are they going to slag it off? Probably so. So if the women's sports on telly, are they going to slag it off? Potentially. So it's about changing a mindset and changing the way people think. And I think, Grace, that's ultimately what we'd said as a team, didn't we? That we need change, don't we?
Yeah, I think of the team, we just didn't want to go down without a fight. We weren't going to let it happen. It had been done, but we wanted to show that we actually did mean a lot, and it did mean to some people. Obviously, didn't expect 1 million, but yeah, we did mean we weren't going to go down without a fight. We weren't just going to let it happen, and if it happened, but we just had to change. We had to change someone, and we had to change their mind, and we had to show that we do mean a lot, and we do belong in Thornaby, and we do belong in football, and women do belong in sport. And we also have to show the young girls, you don't just accept it, you've got to fight for it, you've got to fight for yourself, and be confident that you can change someone's mind and perspective on football. I think that's the big thing that we wanted to do, was just change some people's perspective. Like, they're very narrow-minded. Like, football isn't for boys, it's for everyone. Whether you're a boy or a girl or whatever you are, it's just for everyone, and we want to make an inclusive place. And taking the full section of women's and females out of the sport goes totally against what we stand for and what we are.
Yeah, sure. And I think we were all like very much in terms of supporting, aware that you of course mean so much, and having those teams does. And I think we've already touched on this as well, because it is just incredible. But having like the likes of Beth Mead, Beth England, and this media attention with the BBC covering it, we've spoken about Sky, kind of all this attention, just like, I guess I've got a couple of questions on this one, so I'll direct my first one at Grace to split it up a little bit. But I guess just how has this support and this reaction with all of the big names associated with it, but also like just the breadth of it, how has that felt kind of since you've kind of taken note of that?
For me, it's not necessarily the names, it's how far it's got. Like, I seen a TikTok and it was in French about Thornaby, and I was just like, oh my God. And someone commented that it was in Australia, and I was just like, we have reached so many people, and it's just lovely. And it's hard to believe the numbers, because obviously you can't see them. But when you just search Thornaby and there's just the amount of comments, it's lovely. It actually is. It's really, really nice, and the amount of support we've got, it's just phenomenal. But when you see like Beth Mead commenting it, she's obviously from I live quite near from where she's from, and it's just really, really nice. And they are a lot of the footballers, they are in touch, and just to get just the amount of reach that some people like that comment on it is just amazing. Because I know since Beth and Bethany England commented on it, it just went even more mad, and it's just really, really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And Abbey, you spoke a little bit about the people kind of, I guess, closer to home, in particular, like the men's manager and men in particular. And we speak a lot about it on this channel, but the importance of male allyship within the women's game, in terms of how important that is to progressing it. Just, I guess, how important have those voices closer to home been to you in the aftermath of all this?
Yeah, I think, like you say, we need the blokes on board. You know, like, I'm quite lucky, and Grace, you're probably the same. Like, I'm from a family who love football, and my dad took me regardless of whether the boys didn't want me there, whatever. My dad took me in the wet, snow, wind and rain. Some girls don't have that, you know, and so we need to make sure that we do have the males where they are supporting, and we are lucky. Dino's fantastic manager at Thornaby. He's amazing. And I spoke to Dino yesterday, and I said, do you know what's sad? That we've got rid of 100 girls, but actually we only have a men's team at Thornaby. That's never the case. In any football club, you have little boys teams, because that creates a pathway. I says, I'm sat here thinking, we've created this woman's pathway. We don't even have a boys' pathway. And you know, that's important. It's like I say, it's about people enjoying sport, and doing things that make them happy, creating friendships. So, you know, the males they've been fantastic. And, you know, we've all got most of us, we've all got some strong males in our families, because they're the ones who've took us to football, and they're the ones who's got us into it. So we need to keep that going. And I think moving forward, I think whatever happens, you know, Dino, the men's manager, will always remember this, and he'll always have it in his mind, and he'll always back us no matter where we go in life. He will back women's football, and for me, that's important, and we need that to happen at all clubs. And do you know what's happening? It is happening at all clubs. Like, you look at Newcastle, you know, they're a prime example of how far women's football can go with men's support. They sell out St James's Park. That is insane. Like, insane. For North East football, the population in the North East, they sell out St James's Park. Like, wow, you know, and that's because the men back it, and they believe, and they spend time with the women, and, you know, we can help each other. And ultimately, that's what needs to happen at all clubs.
No, I definitely agree with that. Just on Newcastle, people obviously know this on this channel. I support United. I obviously follow the women's time home and away in Newcastle when they came to Leigh Sports Village earlier in the year in January. I was amazed at how many fans. I think it was about 2,000-3,000 they brought in the away, and far in excess of any WSL side that we had come to LSV this season. So, yeah, you're right on that one. Like, what can happen? You know, when you have that. And to me, it's just on the, you know, I guess like the whole community thing you spoke about it there in terms of the reach it's had. That's what I think I like the most looking at it is from the outside, is the fact that I think maybe there was some people that maybe thought this might just get brushed under the carpet, so to speak. And maybe 10 years ago, this probably would have, and it probably wouldn't have had the traction maybe that we've seen. But now I think women's football, as soon as something happens like this in the community, everyone who's involved in women's football gets behind it and supports it in the right way. And I think that's, for me, one of the best things, looking at it from the outside, that we've seen. I kind of want to move on a little bit then in terms of, I guess, what the communication's been with you now, with the club in terms of steps moving forward. Has there been anything since that statement's gone out and since it's kind of blown up over the last kind of few days? Has there been any communication since then in terms of things? Obviously, we know the 6 board members, 6 committee members have stepped down since then. Has there been anything else communicated to you in terms of what's steps moving forward?
Yeah, so obviously the committee members have stepped down. We are just currently we've been non-stop busy, as you can imagine, answering questions. But I think for us moving forward, we're just in discussions how we do it, because, like I mentioned before, a lot of them little girls live in the community, so it might not be as easy just to pick them girls up and take them to another team, because, I remember a kid growing up, I couldn't get lifts everywhere. I used to have to walk to training, my dad had walkers to training, and we're trying to make sure we do what's right for the children, we do what's right for the girls, because it'd be easy to go, right, all of you, there's a club, go there, but that's not what it's about. They come to Thornaby because they want to play for Thornaby. So we're just trying to work out what's best. Obviously, the committee members have stepped down. For me, I don't want them to win. And obviously, they wanted to get rid of a girls section, and I don't want them to win. So that's my priority. But figuring out what a win looks like is and how we do it correctly is more important. Because actually, is it more important that we spread this word and we've got this message out there? Because for me, that's what I'm passionate about. I don't want this to happen again, but also the girls are the most important for it. That's the most important, that they're comfortable. So we're just working through it. I'm actually going to meet over 100 people tonight at 6:00. So I'm going to meet all the kids section and just discuss and get a little bit of a feel for what they feel and how they are feeling and what they want to do. And because whilst the kids want to still play, the parents might have a bit of ill feel about the club. So it's just getting that balance of what's right and wrong. And I'm sure we'll communicate to the likes of Grace and people like that very shortly. But again, it's just having the girls in mind and making sure that we are doing the right thing, because realistically, we all want to stay together. We're very close in it. And yeah, there might be over 100 kids, but we see them kids every week at our games. They want to be Grace. They don't want to be someone at a different club. They want to play for Thornaby. And for me, that's what matters, So we're going to go and meet them tonight at 6:00, and then we'll hopefully have a bit more news for everybody once we kind of get a feel for how they are feeling and what they want to do. So yeah, I don't really have an answer of what's next. But the good news is the committee members have left, and then I'm passionate to not let them win. When we've got some great committee members left, like 2 males who are fantastic and want to back this women's team. The male coach wants to back this women's team. So I'm sure at some point we can come to an agreement and hopefully move forward and be a rags to riches story and show where we've come from and actually this is what we can do. Whether it's at this club or somewhere else, and hopefully have a good journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all super excited to kind of follow that journey now, and everyone's definitely on board with that. So I'm sure you've gained a few more fans as well as all the supporters you already had. I guess, and I don't want to make this negative, but I'm interested to see your perspective on a kind of, obviously we've got this growth of women's football and this narrative of everything's getting better in the women's game, which to a lot of it is. But having been through this, do you think there's maybe, I guess, a bit of naivety between the growth of the professional women's game and then actually the reality of what's still going on at grassroots? Have you felt that, I guess, in this like what you've been through in your experience?
I'll let you answer that, Grace.
Yeah, I think the growth at the top of the game is unbelievable. Like, since the women won the Euros and everything, there's more fans going to WSL games, and that is absolutely brilliant. Like, we will not slaughter that at all because that is unbelievable. But I think people are a bit naive to lower down the pyramid. So when you get to the third and fourth tier, there's when you're in men's, they're getting paid and it's professional, and that isn't the case when you go to women's football. Women are still going just because they purely enjoy it, and it's purely the love of the football and purely the love of the game, and they go so they can inspire other people. I know I just play because I love playing, and that's all I've ever known really. But when you get through men's low down the pyramid, even at 8th, 7th divisions, they're getting paid, and I know footballers from around this area getting paid 400, 500 pound a game, whereas women, you're not even getting a tenner. Or it's just, I think it's a bit naive to also just the perspective. I think it's easy to see now that people love the women, but you still get daft comments, and it's like I've seen. I don't want to make it negative, but you still see comments like, "Oh, they still belong in the kitchen," and stupid things like that, and you try not to react to it because you don't want to give them what they want. But I think there's still such negative things within football, and I know there's influencers that joke about, oh, it's not a real sport and stuff, and it's highlighting that would never be a comment made about men's football. So it's just, I know some people joke, or the kitchen's just a joke, but that's something that people think about, and it comes to their mind when they think about women's football. When men's, you don't get silly comments like that, and it's just simple things, I think, and little things. And I think it's great that there's so much following around the high levels of women's football, but there still needs to be a push towards lower tiers. Really, like, we have a really large following of all the girls come to all the Thornaby games. I know the under 15s do, the 18s come watch us, and all the little kids. We've had kids walk out with us, and I think that's just lovely to see the smile that you can put on the face just doing simple things like walking out. And we all had our family and stuff at the riverside, and just seeing all them little girls and just seeing the smiles light up. Like, it wasn't the result we wanted, but the support and the smiles, and they stayed for ages after the game, and it's just lovely. But I think towards the lower tiers of women's football, it is still a bit naive, and we do need to try and help while we can. Go to a game if you've got a Saturday or Sunday off. Can you go pop around a game? A lot of women's football, it's free to go. Or can you take your little girls or the little boys? I think it's focused on, can we inspire little girls, but we also want to inspire the little boys. We want to show them everyone's belonging in football, and it's really lovely to try and show everyone that we are here, and we are here to stay, and we're doing it because we love it. We love it just as much as everyone else does. So yeah, I think it's really lovely.
I think like that's honestly, Grace, you've properly summed that up. Like, and I think for me, and I've spoke about it on many interviews, is it's not just women's grassroots football. I've got a little boys team, and that it's a struggle, financially, getting in pitches. Grassroots football in general is really struggling, and I'm a Middlesbrough season ticket holder, Grace is, but I still go and watch grassroots football as well because they need our money, and that's, as a whole, we all need to support our local teams. And yes, we all support Middlesbrough, but I'm from Billingham. I'd go and watch Billingham. I'll go and watch Thornaby. That's what we need to do. And whether that's women's football or men's football or both, let's go and support grassroots football, because we need an injection of that, and we need that all over the country. Like, clubs fold. I would say every week a club folds in the UK because they can't afford to run. So yes, it is naive to think that we've got money in grassroots, because we absolutely don't. And that's where we need the support. We don't need your money. We need you to come and get behind us and create them crowds, because that's how it's going to grow, and that's how we're going to get more teams. And these little girls are going to be wanting to play, little boys will be. So, like, for me, it's a massive must that we go local and try and help out.
No, 100%. I'm glad you both said that because it's something on this channel, Laura will know, I've spoken about a lot, because even you go down to the National League level as a team that was local to me, Stourbridge down here, and watching them compete in Tier 3 against like big, Newcastle, Derby, Wolves, all the Nottingham Forest, big, Premier League men's back teams. And you've got little old Stourbridge who are, I think their men's side are in Tier 7 or 8, I think it is. You can't really compete financially in that respect. So going to watch them, they're always so thingy about just getting people into the ground and getting people watching them, and any exposure for them is absolutely massive. So I think you both summed it up perfectly. I think the growth of the game is amazing at the top. We're seeing record attendances, but I think it needs to start filtering down, because there's some teams in Tier 3 that I think are struggling already, that have maybe come up from Tier 4, get into the National League. And I know I don't think I can name one here, but there's definitely one that are looking at voluntary relegations because they cannot sustain being in Tier 3. And that's such a shame, because you're basically asking the players, well, we can't go any higher. This is our level now. So that's a massive shame on that one.
I think that's a concern, because you win a league and then you win again and you go up a league, but actually you're now travelling further afield. And that's the issue, if you think how much a bus costs to hire, that's the issue, and it is sad, really. And I think Grace hit the nail on the head. I know some Northern League players, or even lower, who are on £400-500 a game, and I'm like, how is this possible? But that's because they've got the money in, and I think it's sad that teams are having to voluntarily relegate because they've got no money. But that's not just in women's football. Like I say, it does happen. I run a little boys team in Durham, so it's all over the country, and I think we really need to get behind it. Whether it's a £1 ticket in or a £2 bag of chips we buy, it's money for the club.
No, absolutely. I think you've both summed up absolutely perfect on that one. I've got one final question, unless, Laura, you've got anything else to ask on that one. I guess you've kind of both touched on it there, and it's something I said we'd come back to. What would you like to see, I guess, to stop this happening in the future? Because this isn't the first. I think this is the biggest we've seen it kind of blown up when a team it's happened, but this certainly isn't the first I've seen in the last year where a women's side has been, I guess, voted to close down and keeping the men's side running. I can't remember. It's going to book me now who the team is that I've seen in the last 12 months, but it was definitely further down the pyramid. What would you want to see happen to stop this happening in the future, having experienced it yourself?
Do you want to go first, Abbey?
Yeah, I don't mind going first. I think it's mindset. We need to change mindsets. We must change mindsets, because ultimately this will keep happening. It'll just keep happening. And whether like I've said before, whether it's in football or whether it's in any other sport, we need to probably make more diverse committees, because football's come a long way in the last 20 years. And you've got people on committees who've been on that committee for a very long time. So we probably need a more diverse committees in sport, whether that be, age and sex. That's what we need. And I think for me, I just need to change people's mindsets. Like, I've got this fire in my belly now that I know I've always had, but it's brought it out of me even more, because I've grew up with this struggle, and I'm older now, I'm retired, so you kind of pass it off. But you know what, like seeing the likes of Grace and it honestly, like, genuinely made me emotional when she said that at the start, because it's affected people like Grace and 99 other ladies and children. And that's for me, that's who I want to protect. And I think we need to make that change where, the likes of yourselves backing us and really jumping on board. We're not going to be able to change everybody. I'm not stupid to think that. We're not going to be. But if we can change one or two mindsets across the country, that for me is a massive, massive win. But I'll let you answer now, Grace.
I'm pretty much the same. I think Abbey sums it up perfectly. It's also just opportunity. We aren't asking for everything. We aren't asking, oh, please give us £500, whatever. We're not asking for that. We're just asking, just be open-minded.
Yeah.
Just try. Just go to one game. If you don't like it, don't go. I don't watch rugby because I don't like it. I've tried it. Fine. We're not begging. We're not begging for you. But just be open-minded. Just want to even if it's just one game, go buy something. That means so much to a little team and a little club. Not just for us, for everyone around the area. I know, like I said before, grassroots is struggling. If you can just go watch a game, even if it's free, the support, like when we go to the Riverside and we've seen all them fans, that means so much to us. It uplifts the players so much. And I think it means a lot more than people realise. And I don't think the people who went to game and watched us at the Riverside realise how much. When we walked out, we were buzzing. I think the change room absolutely buzzing. And even after the game, there was just such a buzz and such a positive. It was just such a positive place to be in. It was just unreal. It was amazing. And I think that's just the main thing. We won't change everyone, and we can't, and not everyone will like women's football. But just give it a chance. Just give it an opportunity, and even if that's just giving us our women's football team, we're not forcing you to go. We're not forcing you to put money into it, but just give us the chance. And I think we proved this year we will. If you give us a chance, we will put our heart and soul into everything, and we'll try and do the best that we can. Like we said, third in the league, like for our first season, third in the league and cup final, we were absolutely over the moon. And I think just give us a chance, and we'll do as hard as we can. And that's with men's and women's. Even if it's just a boys' team, give them a chance. We're not saying we're better than the men or we're better than the boys. We're just saying give us the same opportunities that they get, and we'll do what we can with them.
No, absolutely. That's something, I was very keen to point out to a lot of the people that replied to my socials yesterday saying, about a lot of the things. I'm glad you obviously spoke about this at the start about, it was a money decision, all this. And I'm glad, obviously, you clarified that clearly wasn't the case to begin with, obviously, on that one as well. But it's just about, for me, obviously, speaking from the outside, it's just about fairity, as you both said, and actually treating people the same. On that one moving forward. So hopefully this is, you spoke about the fight to win and things like that and not lose. To be honest, I think from the outside, I think, whatever happens moving forward now, I think you probably already have had a victory here, because I think the reach that this has had and the impact I think it's had on, not just people in women's football. I'm getting messages of people who I know that don't watch women's football. It's like, hang on a minute, have you heard about this? Like, and so it's gone massive and changing people's minds.
My friend lives in America, and she's a cyclist in America, and she just messaged me. She says, Abbey, why are you all over my TV? I went, what do you mean? She went, you're on Forbes and everything. I was like, am I? She was like, what the hell? And I was like, I know, but I think we wanted to win, and I hope, like you say, that this is a small win and we can carry that into something positive, and we just all need to stick together. But the likes of you two, we really appreciate it, and thank you for having us. And I hope you've got something out of it that actually we can show that it's, like I say, I don't want to create a narrative of it's men versus women, because that's not the case. I love men's football. I have a season ticket for Middlesbrough. I go and watch Northern League football. I love it. So that's not the case. I just want people to, Grace summed it up, give us a chance, and give us that chance on your platform. So we really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Thank you both for giving up your Tuesday afternoon to coming and speaking with us. As you said, you're very busy. You can imagine, with all kinds of requests and things going on at the moment. So, we'll touch base with you, obviously, if things do change, obviously, in the next kind of few weeks or so. We'll gladly have you both back on to discuss any future changes and things like that are potentially in the pipeline, because it'd be great to keep an eye on this story and follow up, that's for sure. Is there anything you both want to shout at while you're on here? Any socials, anything like that you want to give a shout out to? Oh,
Grace, any for you?
Oh, get the TikTok.
Get on Thornaby's TikTok. We used to provide some good content, but we've been a little bit busy, with the cup final and stuff. But we used to provide some funny content on there. Please follow the Thornaby Women TikTok if we can. But like I say, just get it shared wherever you are in the country. Just please help us out, because it could be your local team that you're helping. It's not us. It's your local girls and boys team. So please get sharing and make sure this doesn't happen again, because that's the main thing for us.
No, absolutely. We'll link that in the description. Thank you both for coming on. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, subscribing, all of that kind of stuff as well. And yeah, as I said, make sure you're following everything Thornaby, because this is going to be a great story to keep an eye on as well. And I said positive change hopefully coming in the future.